Hello everyone, my name is Anoth, and today I want to talk about medical experts, more specifically developmental pediatricians. The reason why I want to talk about this is because at the age of 2, I took Jordan to this pediatrician. He was referred to us by a real good friend of ours, and the reason why we went to him was because the pediatrician that the boys have always been going to kept telling us that Jordan would eventually catch up and that he was just developmentally delayed. So, as time went on, he was not catching up, especially when Joshua did everything the way he was supposed to, as far as that percentile chart that they gauge our little guys by. At this age, they're reaching 10 percentile or 20 percentile. So, since Joshua did everything the way he was supposed to, at the age that he was supposed to, and sometimes even a little bit earlier, I was getting more and more concerned over Jordan's delays. And at the age of, I guess, 19 months, we were still very concerned because Jordan was not talking. He would throw these horrible temper tantrums. He's now I know what they were, but I didn't know at that time. His sensory overloads were very high, to lighting, to sound, to different types of crowds. And so that was just, it was getting more and more concerning to us. One time I remember that we went to a restaurant and it was a special occasion, so I did not want to leave. Usually, if I was with my mother, she would always do me the favor when Jordan was throwing a temper tantrum or he was not feeling well, and he was kind of not feeling well, but he was just being weepy and having a hard time. She would always do me the favor and take him outside for us for just a little while until she finally got him to come down. This particular occasion, it was my father-in-law's birthday, and it was the restaurant was a little bit loud. It was kind of dark. It was kind of crowded, and this poor guy was just having a hard time. I started taking off his clothes, thinking that maybe he was hot. And we were down to his diaper, and he was still not comfortable. And so after this particular event, we just had my husband and I just had a discussion and trying to figure out what the heck was going on with this poor guy. So talked to a friend of mine, and she referred me to a developmental pediatrician. So this doctor was very matter of fact. His bedside manner was just gruff, and he would talk to you very directly, which in a way is good, but not if you're getting bad news. So this doctor did what I guess they do as far as checking Jordan's developmental gauges. He would ask Jordan questions, and of course this little guy was not talking, so he couldn't answer. And then he wasn't looking at him when he would talk or when he would pronounce his name. Jordan had a little Mickey Mouse that he just loved. So even when this doctor would touch this Mickey Mouse or whatever the doctor was looking for, whatever reaction he was trying to get from Jordan, he didn't. He did reflexing. He did different kinds of tests. So after after he concluded his test, I was just there with Jordan, just him and I. And my mother, again, was with my older son, and my husband was working. So it was just Jordan and I. So the pediatrician set me down, and of course, I'm holding on to Jordan. And he started saying just the most horrible news that I ever would want to receive, other than my brother had died. And I mean, just the news that he was giving to me felt that severe. So he started proceeding by telling me that Jordan might have autism, and he might have something called Angelman syndrome. And he started saying that he may never, and he would use the word never very emphatically and very directly and very matter of fact. So Jordan would never run. He would never he may never talk. He may never reach the milestones that Joshua had reached by now, that he would never be in a normal school, that he would never be developmentally, especially mentally developmentally, he would never be normal, that he would never talk properly, that more than likely when he would reach the age of maybe 12 or 13, that I would have to put him in an institution because I would not be able to take care of him, especially because of my size. I'm 4'11", and when at this time, I was probably maybe like 100 pounds. So I was very petite, very small. So the doctor was telling me that because of my size, I would never be able to take care of him into adulthood, and that he would have to be institutionalized for the rest of his life. So there was no preparedness to all this doom and gloom news. And he said that he would recommend for us to come back every 6 months so he would keep track of Jordan's progress or lack of thereof, because he would never be able to reach all these percentiles that he was supposed to reach. And when I left there, I put this young man in his car seat. I got in the car, and by the time I walked out of the office, I had tears in my eyes. I was trying to hold it in because I did not want this young man to see me crying. So I put him in his car seat. I did not want to go home because I just didn't know what to do at that particular time. So I just sat there in the parking lot crying my eyes out. This young man was just sitting there, and I was looking at him through my rear view mirror, and it was just really heartbreaking, the bad news that I've gotten from this pediatrician. So I got home. I asked my husband to get home as soon as he could, and he did. Luckily, my mother was able to stay until my husband got there, and I told her to please keep the boys entertained while my husband and I had this discussion. So I started telling him all these never milestones that this little boy was never going to reach. And he highly recommended that we would put him or start making arrangements to put him in an institution capable of taking care of this young man. So one of the things that I was very relieved by when I was telling my husband all these never bad news was that he said, I don't know. He says, I think I know the answer to this, but I can tell you that we will never put this young man in an institution. And that just made me that was the only happy thing that I could think that I wanted to hear, because I could not imagine having this little boy going to a institution. So from that day on, I made it my goal to learn whatever I could to get this young man as far ahead as I could. From that day on, I've never compared him to his brother, because his brother to me was his own little man, and Jordan was also his own little man. So I was not going to compare them. I was never going to compare him to anybody else or anybody's other child, because in my mind, it would be unfair for me to compare this young man to anybody else. And so that was one of my goals. And from that day on, I've never have compared him to anybody else. We never went back to this doctor. I did not see him as being a positive influence on our lives, especially on Jordan's. Children, to me, are like dogs. They can tell when someone is not a good person, or when someone has a ulterior motive, when someone is not happy, when someone is sad. Children and dogs, to me, they can tell this. So I did not want to take this young little man to see a doctor who all he saw was just a never child. So we found an excellent woman pediatrician, and she was their doctor until we moved from Dallas to Houston. And I regretted leaving her so, because she was just an amazing doctor. So she was one of these angels that were put in our path to make our lives better. So the reason why I wanted to share this story was because one of the things that I started thinking was, I had a year of college education. I consider myself not very intelligent, but I did consider myself smart, and I consider myself having a way of looking for help or looking for information or researching different topics in different situations. So I consider myself a woman that I always wanted to look for new information. And the thing that worried me the most was, what if I was a non-educated woman who did not have a higher degree of education, and all I did was listen to what this doctor said? What if all I said, what if everything that he said has sunk in, and I saw that as a educated guess, as a expert prognosis, and what if I saw that as what I was supposed to do, and if everything that this young man did or didn't do, and so by the age of 12 or 13, what if I said, well, this doctor said that by this age, He needs to be in an institution because he was the expert. And he's the one that told us that this is what we were supposed to do. And I just set my mind into proving him wrong and trying to push this young man as much as I could. Today, at the age of 27, he is developmentally delayed, but he has made progress after progress after progress. He has made huge milestones. This young man can stand in front of a TV and dance to a Wii video game, Just Dance. I'm sure some of you guys know that video game. So he is able to stand in front of the TV, find the song that he wants and dance to it. And in some instances, he even will sing to the words of the song. He can get on the computer, get on Google, and do some research for himself and find different things on different characters that he sees on different videos or different TV shows, and he'll find different information on animals. He's even capable of finding a particular animal and hearing it in Spanish, and he'll tell me, because English is my second language, in case you can't tell by the accent, but he'll tell me, how do you say this, or he'll ask me, how do you say this animal in Spanish? And we'll sit together in front of the computer and we'll look for animals, and I'll just sit there and he'll look for these animals and he'll click on how to pronounce it in Spanish. So this young man has come a long way. And the reason why, again, I wanted to make this video was for those parents or young parents starting to find out that their baby is developmentally delayed. And there are some wonderful experts out there, but there are also some experts who are wrong. And you might want to find another expert who can help you, guide you into different areas, that in case your child is not reaching this milestone, maybe if you go here, you can teach him to reach a different milestone. And then you can find different experts in speech, different experts in occupational therapy, physical therapy. There's a lot of experts out there who are wonderful, who will take their time and teach you different ways of teaching your child. So don't just take bad news as it is. Take it as a challenge. Thank you for listening to me. Have a good afternoon, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.